For many years, the European Union delegation to Somalia has been a pivotal partner to the Somali government as well as the Somali people. And to help us better understand the role that the EU has been playing in Somalia, we have a special guest joining us today. Please welcome the EU Ambassador to Somalia, Nicolas Berlanga.
Thank you very much, Hassan, and thank you to all of the people that are following us, that in these difficult times decided to join us through the web and through internet. We wanted to find ways to share our joy during our National Day. For us, Europe Day represents a positive look at the past history of Europe and hopefully also a better future for all of our citizens. We are here in Somalia working hard, hand to hand, with the institutions, with the authorities, with men and women that are struggling to overcome COVID, but also to build a prosperous and secure future for Somalia. You see, when we study the history of Europe for the last 70 years, what we see is that there is no tragedy enshrined in the destiny of nations. Societies, countries, nations are what their citizens, what their men and women, what their leaders want them to be. So it is something that should be built day by day by all of you, by all of us. Also, we discover after two very difficult wars in Europe in the 20th century that working together we should concentrate less over where borders are and focus instead of making borders irrelevant. Physical borders are not only on the ground, are also on our minds. And whatever we can do to make them irrelevant, whatever we can do to bridge agreements and to bridge dialogue among people, that brings prosperity for all. Our founding fathers in Europe also define some core values, and they define that democracy, the rule of law, the abolishment of death penalty, the freedom of speech as core values, as a framework for all of us to work inside and to rule the internal functioning of our institutions and our societies. And again, that brought prosperity to all of us. Finally, you know, the European Union in the world, we are always advocating in favor of common solutions, coordinated solutions to global challenges. And these days, COVID, these days, climate change are telling us that we are right. And we count on the partnership we are building with Somalia, with Eastern Africa, with Africa to find these coordinated solutions. We are very much aware of the efforts that have been done for the last years to strengthen institutions in Somalia. We are very much aware of the resilience of the Somali society against naturally made disasters, but also against man-made disasters. We know and we have experienced the proudness of your culture, how proud of your religion are your uses, and we are very much aware and we know that we need to adapt our response to this proudness, these histories that belong to you. We also know the strength that you have with your diaspora and how the diaspora continues to be so engaged with the ongoing works, with the ongoing efforts in Somalia. And we need to turn it into an opportunity. We need to see how to build forces together with your diaspora. So I would like today, Europe Day, to ensure again our commitment with the authorities when they are trying to open the political space. We believe a lot that the young people, these dynamic young people, young women and men, Somali women and men should have a voice about the political scenario, about the political decision of the country. And we will accompany all of you that will work on that direction. We want to reiterate also our commitment to fight together with all partners, the international community, the African Union, the Somali authorities, to fight terrorism, to eradicate terrorism. We also give a lot of value to dialogue and to negotiation. Our history tells us how a bad agreement is always better than a good war. Policies should be asymmetric, could be flexible to adapt to the different circumstances. Federal solutions or confederal solutions, we have seen how that have worked also in Europe. We have, for example, a common currency, the euro, and not all of our member states have adopted it. But we have also other policies, like, for example, the Schengen area, the area of free movement of people, in which also non-member states are part of. The most important thing is to reach agreements and to engage under the rule of law in this agreement. So the Somali authorities, the Somali people can count on the European Union for any effort in favor of a peaceful resolution of conflicts. We are very happy. We are very happy that you are with us today to celebrate with us the Europe Day. We thank you for to accept to be with us, because we don't want to talk only about the future of Europe, of the European Union. We want to talk also about our common future, our future also together with Somalia. So thank you very much for sharing with us and celebrating with us Europe Day. Thank you.
I'm really glad to join you today in celebrating this important Europe Day. Even at this time when the world is facing major health crisis with a similar global impact, I would like to begin first by extending our congratulations to our European partners on this historic day. Europe, known for its resilience, was built out of destruction of war. But since the historic declaration that set the European integration in motion, Europe has managed to build strong institutions that are able to withstand global shocks, including the current health pandemic that the world is confronting. You would also appreciate, Excellencies, that Somalis are also known to be resilient, and as a result, we're emerging out of decades of civil strife and starting to rebuild our nation with the same dedication and universal values that Europeans advanced. Values of democracy, values of freedom of speech, equality, access to power and resources, accountability, and respect for human rights. We in Somalia continue to view the EU as a strategic partner that is reliable, constant, and committed to the Somali people. We continue to seek this strategic partnership and leadership, especially at this time when Somalia is faced with the greatest challenge in decades. The European spirit that we're celebrating here today, spirit of solidarity, could not have been more relevant today as we grapple with unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. While the adverse impact of the COVID-19 has been felt across the entire globe, its impact on Somalia has been most disruptive and trying. Here in Somalia, we were in the middle of historic reform efforts when the COVID-19 crisis started, on top of other existing emergencies. The global health pandemic occurred just as we concluded a 3-year reform struggle to allow for re-engagement with international financial institutions with the help of Europe, and thereby spur economic growth. The crisis came when our business community was ready to reap the benefits of the debt relief, when we were ready to invite the world to our shores. The pandemic arrived at our shores when we had carefully crafted a security sector reform path that culminated in liberation and holding of territories. And the pandemic also prematurely interrupted of our constitutional review process. Another major project is for this nation that our people have been yearning for the past 30 years. The socio-economic cost of this pandemic is just beginning to become apparent. Many of you will already seen our remittances have declined rapidly. Trade has dropped. Somali businesses are affected and household income has collapsed. Somali banks are facing major problems in their day-to-day transactions with the rest of the world. And to top it off, I cannot emphasize enough the human cost of it. And here today, in this important gathering of Europe Day, I would like to pay tribute to the men and women at the front line here at home and abroad, especially in Europe, the various government agencies in Europe, organizations, institutions that are sacrificing so much to contain the pandemic and mitigate its aftermath. This occasion gives us also an opportunity to learn from European integration and solidarity. And as such, today, Europe's solidarity with Somalia is now required more than ever. We have surmounted so many obstacles, and we shall overcome this one as well. Of course, it is different from our hurdle and the past hurdles and requires concerted efforts both domestically and globally. The support and partnership to respond to the coronavirus pandemic from the international partners, including the European Union, both collectively and individually, will be the clearest manifestation of solidarity with the Somali people at the time of a dire needs. It is the only way to beat this disease and restore normalcy through solidarity and a spirit of unity. And despite all the challenges, we're working very hard to unify our nation and to continue implement the major projects that we've set for this nation for the many years to come. The unity project that the Europeans have created is not something anyone should take for granted. Unifying over 500 million of citizens, over 20 languages, 19 out of 27 currencies, is maybe the greatest example of the strength of that unity. And for that, I join you today, despite the challenges that the world is facing, to celebrate with you. But what we Somalis maybe need to learn from the European project is the value of that unity, the value we have inherited from our founding fathers. Our biggest project as Somalis in Somalia must therefore be the project of reunification of our nation. Reunification with Somaliland will, of course, require compromise, trust, and goodwill, as the Europeans have shown. And we are ready to embrace all that because we believe it is in every Somali's interest to pursue this objective, which is both noble and practical. And with the support of the European Union, I am 100% certain that the Somalis will work hard to achieve that objective. I thank you for the invitation, and once again, Happy Europe Day to all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you for your words, which are well noted, and you can count on this hard work to accompany the efforts. We know the urgency of the situation, and we know that the urgency of the short term should not divert also our view, our long-term view about the future of Somalia. Thank you very much for joining us, and it was very much appreciated. We will continue now. We are, as you know, it has been casted online to our Facebook page. There are a lot of people following us. I will give you later a summary of comments that we are receiving, but I now will continue with that kind of interaction with the people following us. But we really appreciate your presence. And of course, you are free to continue with us or leave us, because we know that you have to be very busy.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ambassador, once again for the invitation, and thank you very much for standing with the Somali people, both you and your colleagues. Our partnership, which has proven to be a strategic partnership, a committed partnership. And for that, I'm very happy that I could join you. And once again, I wish you a happy Europe Day.
Thank you very much, and have a nice and safe Europe Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you, Hassan, for joining us. And we appreciate the time that you've spent with us.